Welcome back to In the Outside with Vincent Ramirez. Previously, on part 2 of my interview with Tina Strawn.
I thought, at best or worst, I would just find that, okay, I'm attracted to women and maybe I'm what they call bisexual. Really do some soul searching. Let me really ask myself some hard questions. Do I really mean that, number one? Do I really feel like I could, if I never see another dick, I'm like, and I did. So that kind of started my process where I didn't date for a while after that. All of those questions ultimately brought me to, I know I want to be with women. I think that's a gift that I'm so incredibly grateful for, because she came into a difficult situation that she started to date a woman who was a single mom of 3 kids. I think when she came into the picture, they were 12, 14, and 16. Those are asshole ages.
And now, part 3 of my interview with Tina Strawn. Yeah, I was going to say, those are some tough ages, because those teenage years, and but isn't it interesting, I think, and we're pretty close in age, at least for our generation, and that I think this younger generation, that some of this stuff is just like, kind of like no sweat, like, okay, whatever, I got gay friends in school, it's just like,
exactly.
That's awesome. That's a very positive thing to hear, that your kids have been welcoming, and and they continue to have sounds like a very solid relationship with Dorian. So that makes the biggest difference in life, I think. So we talked a little bit about you doing group fitness and from Lifetime Fitness and everything, and that's actually where we knew each other from. How many years have you been actually doing instructing and coaching and group fitness and all that stuff?
Yeah. My fitness career has been a little over 13 years. I kind of really got into it in 2005 as my mom was struggling with cancer, and then when she passed away. So that was the beginning. That's when I really threw myself, after she passed away, into fitness, and so a little over 13 years.
Wow. And you kind of have left in the last couple of years, you've kind of left the right word is like a corporate type of group fitness environment, but and then you were a manager, I remember, and you kind of gone on and to do your own thing. So tell me a little bit about that. What are you up to now, and how's that career going and everything?
Yeah, for sure. So I did leave the corporate group fitness management life, in that I was definitely ready for, I left primarily because I wanted to focus more on the part of group fitness that I enjoyed, which was the teaching. I got tired of managing. I got tired of, all of the red tape and all of everything that comes with working for a corporation, right? I just wanted to focus more on the part that gave me joy, which was teaching classes and impacting people's lives. Without all of the extra, right? So I left that full-time corporate position, and I just started teaching classes. And so for that next year, that's all I did was I taught classes. I did some consulting work, still in the group fitness arena, and from a corporate perspective. I did some operational work with a fitness convention series. So I still wanted to be a part of the fitness industry, and I still was very much connected to so many people that I knew previously with my previous position. So I wanted to stay and keep doing what I felt like I was good at, and help where I could without the extra, like I said. So then there was an opportunity came where there is a young woman, a young Black woman who is an entrepreneur, owned several businesses, and she wanted to buy a gym, but she didn't have a background in fitness. So she was looking for someone to run the gym, and she hired me to be her general manager. So in December of 2017, I started working with her and running her gym, and that's what I'm doing now, in addition to teaching classes. So I still teach regular classes at a local cycle studio, and regular bar and yoga classes and strength classes.
Wow. That's awesome. And having taken your classes, definitely your strength. It is, you're so motivating, and those are the type of classes that you want to be involved in, especially when you're trying to develop your fitness and be active in that way. So that's awesome. You know, I've followed you on Facebook. I think connected with you probably a while back, and I've noticed that you've been pretty vocal in some of political positions and things like that. And I noticed that you're also being very proactive with trying to get people to vote or being vocal politically.
No, I absolutely have not always been involved politically and socially. That has been new, me stepping into my activism. I call it my baby activism. Has just happened as of 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, as a matter of fact, I used to be your typical, I don't want to talk about religion or politics person because it's rude and I don't want to offend anybody. That definitely used to be me. Also didn't want to talk about politics because I didn't want to be upset or sad or angry. I didn't want what was happening around me in the world to affect me. I wanted to protect my bubble of happiness, and I wanted to stay in it and pretend like that's what the world was like. Very similar to the way that I was raised when I was a kid, when I didn't know that there were problems in the world and there were injustices. So that changed for me in 2016. I had, up until 2016, I had been very successful at staying away from what was going on in the news. As a matter of fact, I haven't watched the news in many, many, many years. I would say at least 6 or 7 years. I haven't watched the news. I don't watch the news.
Okay.
And so I remember when Trayvon Martin was killed, I remember I was on social media, so I saw from a distance some people following that and commenting and sharing things, but I was very intentional in not getting involved, not paying attention, not reading up about what was going on. I did not want to know because I didn't want to be affected and I didn't want to be sad. So in July of 2016, while on Facebook, I accidentally saw the video of Alton Sterling being killed. And that was traumatic for me in a way that I can't even explain. And then a few days later, I watched the video of Philando Castile being killed in Minnesota. After seeing those two videos, I was changed forever. Something inside of me broke, and I didn't know what to do with what I felt and what I experienced after that. I just knew I was never going to be the same. So then fast forward to November 2016, and Donald Trump was elected president. And I just felt like the world turned upside down. And again, I didn't really at that time know what that meant to me, but I just knew that I did not want to become this angry, complaining victim of what was happening around me to unarmed Black people and our interactions with the police. I didn't want to be a victim to this psychomaniac person being our president. I wanted to do something, and I didn't know what that meant or what that looked like. I just knew I was going to figure it out. So that started, I think, honestly, with the Women's March in January of 2017. I went to the local Women's March here in Atlanta, and that was my first taste of activism, I would say, in that you're in that space of marching with all of these people, all of these women, and we were so fired up to shake things up and to change things and to not let these next 4 years destroy us.
Right.
And so that kind of led to the next couple of months where I would fortunately become introduced to local women who were putting together some really grassroots things to help get liberal and progressive candidates elected. So I started helping out with some local campaigns, and then I started, learning more about, I started attending some rallies and some protests and from then on, deciding that there are things that I can do to get involved from an organizational standpoint, and I can align myself with, like some of the Democratic candidates that are running for office, and that's definitely what I've done. But then on my own, I've taken upon myself to just say, I don't have I can't fit into some of the time frames that these organizations are holding their events. So why don't I do things on my own when I'm available, when I've got it in my schedule to do? And so I started holding voter registration drives, and that's been a huge focus for me over the past couple of months, is making sure that people are registered to vote and that they're informed of how important their vote is, and that they know, when they're voting, when the election dates are, early voting, as well as where their polling places are. So everything around voter registration is just been a very important thing for me right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I think you're not alone in the motion of something being triggered inside you to kind of take that step out there and become more involved in your community. And you're not the first time I've heard somebody where something changed, during that 2016 election cycle. And good for you for stepping out there and trying to empower people to also make sure that their voices are heard.
Thank you. It's been really rewarding. Thank you.
Good. I wanted to ask you, based on your life experience, I mean, from growing up in a childhood of, predominantly, religious background, kind of carrying that through your adult years, and just with your own life experience, what kind of advice would you give to someone that is young, maybe that they're questioning themselves, or they're not sure kind of where they kind of fit into the world? What kind of advice would you offer them?
Oh, that's a great question. I would encourage them to shut out as many voices, all of the voices as they can, to open themselves up to really listening to their heart. I think a lot of us already know what rings true for us, but because there's so much noise coming from so many different directions. We have noise from our families, well-meaning, our friends, from media, from the way that we were raised, church and religious backgrounds. We have all these things that like you said, contribute to who we are and who we become as adults. But I think for me, when I started to shut out what I was hearing and what was coming in to my head and my heart from the church, when I started to shut out and not give so much validity to the way that I was raised just because that's what I was taught, but open myself up to listening to what really felt right, what really felt true, what really resonated with me. That was when I was able to, first of all, identify what I wanted and who I was. And I was able to really also identify what I wasn't, and the areas of my life where I didn't feel like I was walking my truth and living my truth.
Yeah.
So it started with me shutting everything out and getting really quiet with myself. And really the getting quiet is the other part and the other piece of it. As I mentioned, the first time I remember having a conversation with someone that was a out conversation, it was during my 200-hour yoga teacher training program. That was a very intense training that I went through. It was very introspective, very, going deep and looking inside of who I was, not who I thought that I was, not who everyone else wanted me to be, not the person I was showing to the world, but who I truly was. A lot of that came as a result of meditation and getting quiet and still and learning how critical and immensely valuable it was for my soul to be still, to find stillness and just to breathe and see what came up to the surface. My first experiences with meditation, honestly, were painful. I didn't want to be still. I didn't want to shut my eyes. I didn't want to clear my mind. I wanted to be moving and busy because that's where we are used to. We're trained to operate in all of the noise. and I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't know what I was going to experience when I stilled the noise. And it was scary. It was scary, and I really resisted it for a while. And then when I finally began to get still and just for a few minutes a day, a few moments at a time, and allow whatever was inside of me to come up to the surface, that's when I really started to say, you know what, there's more to this, more to me, more to life than just living day to day, kind of foggy in a phase with this gray. I knew that there was more, but I would have never known there was more until I started asking myself, what do I want? So listen, just shutting out the noise, asking yourself, what do you want, getting quiet, and letting those things come to the surface, and then finding the courage to follow that. And so I call myself, and I consider myself a chooser of love and a follower of joy. When I identified what brought me joy, follow that. I just decided I'm going to follow that no matter what, so that when I stopped feeling joy, or when I got into those places that were, that just didn't ring true, I would not stay in that place anymore. I would go back to what feels true, where's my joy, and how can I be my most authentic self. So it's following that love, following that joy, and following that light.
Yeah, that's some amazing advice. You've hit on so many excellent points, and I definitely want to thank you where I'm at now, just to say thank you for sharing that, because that's I think that's an important message, especially for the youth. I mean, and anybody that is questioning who they are, or trying to make what they feel the right decisions, but they may be getting those outer forces that might be telling them otherwise, and it prevents people a lot of times from living with their truth. So, Tina, who would you say has been probably your biggest inspiration in your life so far?
That's a hard question for me, because it really has changed as far as where I am in my life and what's going on at this time in my life. So right now I am completely inspired by my wife, and at the risk of feeling and sounding very cliche, she's embarking upon a reinvention of her own, where she's changing careers, and so just watching her through that process, and she and I, a few years ago, really 2017, we call that our jump year. 2017 is when I quit my full-time corporate job, and she also quit her job, and we decided that year that we were going to follow our hearts and follow our joy trust the universe, and only do things that we were passionate about. And so we kind of set this precedence for where we are now in living our best lives. We are huge Oprah fans, so forever the goal is to live our best life, and we are. And it's taken a lot of courage, and it's been this incredible journey that we've learned so much about ourselves. So I'm just inspired by her living that and taking the risk to be a beginner again and start brand new and start fresh, and knowing that this is her following her heart, and she encourages me to do the same. And of course, every single time we encounter someone, meet someone, know someone, watch someone speak their truth, tell their story, live their best life, that encourages those around us to do the same thing. So,
well, that's awesome. No, thank you for sharing that.
Right now.
No, that's a great answer. I mean, that's
okay.
It sounds like your wife has been very influential in your life. I wanted to say thank you again for taking the time to just talk with me and share your journey and share your story. If you have a couple more minutes, I want to play this game of Would You Rather. We'll just ask a couple of questions, and then I can let you get on with your day, because if not, I'll let you talk all day long.
Either one. Let's go.
Okay. All right. So let's, here, I'll go ahead and start. And as I mentioned before, these are questions that are just no right or wrong answer. These are just for fun and give you an opportunity to kind of maybe take a moment to think maybe why you would answer some of the questions the way you would, and we'll have a little discussion about them. So, okay, so the first question is, would you rather run 20 miles in 68-degree weather or 8 miles in 100-degree weather?
I'm going to say 8 miles in 107, and that's just because I believe in getting it over with.
Okay, yeah.
So no matter how miserable the environment is, I want to do 8 miles and get it over with as opposed to run 20. That's a long time.
Yeah.
A long time to run. Even though 68-degree weather is lovely to run in.
Yeah, but it would definitely take
That's
you
a long time.
Yeah, it definitely would be a long time. I agree with you there. I think let's get it over with. Let me get in there and out as fast on it as I could. So, all right.
Absolutely. As long as I can be well hydrated, then yeah, I'm in for the 8 miles.
There you go. Awesome. Okay. All right. So I'll ask you the next question. All right. Would you rather shave your head once and get a tattoo on your scalp, or shave your eyebrows off permanently?
Well, I guess the whole emphasis on shave your head once is because your hair is going to grow back.
Right.
So because of the recent experience that I'm going through with my hair, I would totally shave off the eyebrows. Eyebrows are optional. I can draw them on or paint them on, but my hair is important to me. So I'm not shaving my hair.
Oh gosh. It's funny because I think I had the same thought process, but it's a little not really into wearing any kind of makeup. So to draw my eyebrows on and not have eyebrows, but to have a tattoo on my head, I know there's people out there that do that, but I don't think I would want to have a tattoo on my scalp either. So I think I have to agree with you on that one. I'd maybe possibly shave my eyebrows off permanently. That would be...
Well, and even if you don't want to wear makeup, you can, first of all, the eyebrows don't all look like makeup, but you could also do eyebrow tattoos. So there's something.
Yeah, there you go. We got some alternative options here.
There you go.
All right. Okay, so let me ask you maybe about two more. Let's see. All right. Would you rather never be able to answer a question or never be able to ask a question?
Oh, I'd rather never be able to answer a question.
Uh-huh.
I would die if I couldn't ask questions.
Yeah, that would be tough. Yeah, not being able to really ever ask a question would be really difficult for me as well. Definitely, I'm on the same page of you on that one. All right, here's a pretty good one. Let's see. Would you rather go back in time and give your younger self advice that will change your life, or go into the future and find out what you will encounter in years to come?
I don't think I would go back and give myself advice. I'm really grateful for the experiences that I've had, and I'm happy with the path that I took. So I wouldn't want to go back to give myself advice because I think that I did it just fine. So then I would have to choose going into the future to see what I would encounter.
That's interesting that you say that. I think I'm naturally inclined to probably want to go back and tell myself, okay, do this differently or change that. But, your mistakes are also things that kind of make you into being who you are. Granted, that, imagine if I was talking to a murderer, maybe they would say something different. But, it's like, yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it becomes all part of that process and the journeys. Okay, well, that's all I have. I definitely wanted to just kind of play that game with you, and I know I've kept you way over the time that I told you. And ultimately, I want to thank you again for taking the time and sharing your journey with me. Is there anything that you would like to promote, or for people can find out more information about you? Anything else that you want to let my listening audience know about you?
There's not anything that I have to promote right now. I'm actually in the process of starting some diversity and inclusion work where I'll be speaking to groups and just kind of sharing my story, very similar to how we've done today on the podcast, just about my life as an out and queer woman of color. And so that type of thing that I'm still putting it together. It's in the beginning phases, and I really haven't even shared much with anyone yet. Okay. So I would just say if people want to follow me, they can find me on social media at Group Fitness Life. on Facebook and Instagram. And then once I put together, more ways to follow me, that's probably going to be where I share that. That's a way to keep up with what I'm doing, what I have going on.
Awesome. All right. Well, again, I appreciate it, Tina. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
If you love what I'm doing at In the Outside Podcast, feel free to connect with me on social media and share your comments, be it Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I appreciate hearing your feedback, and if you would like to learn more about In the Outside, check out our website at intheoutsidemedia.com or intheoutsidepodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe and leave reviews wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Talk to you soon.